Okay, so you're in the market for a golf launch monitor. You want something professional that's going to give you all the data you could ever want, but you don't have TrackMan money. You're not looking to spend 20, 30 grand on a TrackMan on a GC Quad. You want something that's going to be more accurate and more feature heavy than like a Garmin R10 or a Rapsodo Pro MLM2. So where does that leave you? There's a good chance it leaves you right here with the Flightscope Mevo Plus that has just been refreshed for 2023. In today's video, I'm going to tell you all of the things I love about the Flightscope Mevo Plus, as well as some of the things that I don't love about it, all with the hopes of helping you figure out if it is worth buying, because it is an unbelievable device for the money, but it's also not going to be for everybody. So if you've been trying to learn more about the Mevo Plus, if you're trying to figure out if it fits your personal setup, keep watching. Today's video is for you. Okay, before we jump into the full Flightscope Mevo Plus review, let's talk about the 2023 model and what has been changed. If you're just looking at this compared to the original Mevo Plus, which came out a few years ago, you're probably not gonna see a whole lot different. In fact, aside from a updated stand design and a red button on top rather than the silver button on top, it's pretty much identical. So what has been changed with the 2023 Mevo Plus that makes it worthy of an entirely new product launch? Well, there's only been a few things, but they're pretty big things. So first off, the battery life on the original Mevo Plus was only 90 minutes. With the 2023 version, you're now getting 3 hours. So most of us aren't gonna spend more than 3 hours during a range session, so that's a huge increase. There have been times that I ran out of juice with the older model, and that's just not gonna happen for the way I'm using it with this newer model. It is worth noting there are power options. You can plug it into a portable power bank, or if you're using it in your garage, you can set it up to be powered permanently. But as far as mobility goes, for what I think most people are going to use it for, that extra battery life is going to be really valuable. The second thing is an updated stand design. So the Mevo Plus, you generally want to have it at about 12 degrees. That's the optimal angle to get the best results. So the old model could basically extend as far back as you wanted it to. This one has a new spring system that essentially keeps it from being able to go any farther than 12 degrees. So theoretically, they changed this design to make setup easier and to give you more accurate results. All right, the third update with the 2023 Mevo Plus is something that's not going to affect everybody, and that is new PC software. So if you don't want to use iOS, if you don't want to use your iPad or your Android phone, you now have dedicated PC software. So this is great news for club fitters, for teaching professionals, for people that want to give a true kind of professional level experience. Having that software finally allows them to do that. Unfortunately, if you're a Mac user like me, you can't really use it. And if you're an existing Mevo Plus user, you might be wondering, well, do I get the PC software? You can, it's just a $99 upgrade. And finally, the last update we're seeing to the 2023 Mevo Plus versus the old one is you are getting 4 additional E6 simulator courses. So the original Mevo Plus came with 6 courses. With the new system, you are now getting 10 courses that you can use with E6, all included for free, which is pretty cool. So those are the major things you're gonna see updated with the physical unit when you buy a new 2023 Mevo Plus, but there have also been a number of updates that have been rolled out over the last year or two within the app. And that's part of why I like Flightscope so much, because they have continued to invest in improving their product, and people that bought the previous Mevo Plus are still getting a lot of those benefits. So whether it's fusion tracking technology, which is something that's making the device more accurate for everybody, or the add-ons like the Pro package or face impact detection, which we will talk about, they're really giving you more options for how you can use your Mevo Plus and get the most out of it. But before we talk about all those specifics, let's jump into the setup, the ease of use, the accuracy, some of the things that are going to help you figure out if it's even the right platform for you to be considering. When you open up the box, you're going to find the unit itself, you're going to find a power cord, you're going to find a carabiner, you're going to find some literature to help you set it up as a simulator, to help get your E6 set up, and to kind of use as a quick start to make sure that you get off and running. One thing I was a little disappointed on with the 2023 Mevo Plus is the fact it still uses a USB mini connection rather than a more modern USB-C connection. Most of the newer devices coming out have USB-C. I've got USB-C cords all over the place, so it would have been nice to see that be an update, but I do like the fact it's at least a standard connection and not some sort of proprietary charger that I need a special cable for. So with any golf tech product you use, chances are you're going to want to take some time and get it set up before you get there. The Mevo Plus is no different. There's a good chance you're going to need a firmware update. You're going to want to make sure the app is updated on your phone. You're going to need to set up or pair it share with your Flightscope account. You're gonna need to unlock your E6 package, or if you got any of the add-ons, the Face Impact or the Pro package, you're gonna have to set all that up. And you don't wanna do that once you get to the range, in part because there is one frustrating setup issue with this. So it doesn't include Bluetooth. The only way to connect this to your phone or to your tablet is to use a Wi-Fi signal that this outputs. And so this can be a little bit of a problem if you're trying to set it up on an iPad that doesn't have cellular data. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna turn this on, you're gonna connect your iPad to the Wi-Fi network that this puts out, and it's going to allow the device to connect. But if you have to download a firmware update, or if it has to go back to the Flightscope servers to verify one of your package add-ons, you're then going to need to connect to the internet. So you'll have to disconnect from this, and then go back and reconnect to the internet, and then go back and reconnect to this. So it's all a little bit cumbersome and a little bit frustrating. So what I recommend is when you're setting everything up, do it with your phone with a cellular connection. That way you can connect it to this, you can update all the firmware, you can make sure everything is good to go, and it's gonna require you to do less back and forth of reconnecting, disconnecting, and that whole thing. I would have loved to see a feature like the new Rapsodo MLM Pro has, where you can both connect it via Wi-Fi, or you can connect both your tablet and your device to an existing Wi-Fi network. So if you do that, it allows you to make all of these updates while you are still connected to the device itself. And that way, even if you don't have Bluetooth, you can still connect to all the devices, do all the updates without all the back and forth. So I'd love to see Flightscope update that in the future. The good news is outside of your first time use, you're not gonna have to deal with that very often. But that does bring me to what is honestly my biggest critique with this product. And we're gonna talk about all the great things, but I wanna get this out of the way because it is something that can be continually a little bit frustrating, and that is setting it up to use it each time you do. So the app has gotten a lot better than it used to be. So there's a number of steps it walks you through to make sure that everything's aligned properly, that your tilt and your roll on the device is set up properly. It'll have you hit balls, and it'll show you exactly where it is on the impact zone to make sure everything's set up right. But it does take a little finagling. The problem is if something isn't quite set up right, it will still give you numbers, they just won't be super accurate. And so you'll hit some balls and you're like, wait a second, something's not right here. And so you want to go back through the validation process to make sure your hitting zone, to make sure your alignment, to make sure your tilt and roll on device, that everything is within the correct parameters within the Flightscope app to make sure you have accurate results. That being said, I've been really pleased to see the updates that over the past year that Flightscope has made to the FS Golf app, because it's made it much easier and a lot less time consuming to get that dialed in. If you were setting this up in, say, your garage or a home simulator and you're just leaving it in the same place, that's great. You do it once and it's pretty much going to be good to go. But if you're someone that's like me and you might use it at home, you might go to an indoor range, you might go out to the driving range, then you're going to be setting it up on a regular basis in different places. And I recommend that you take an extra 3 to 5 minutes each time you set it up to make sure you validate and dial in all those calibration settings. If you have the Mevo Plus and you find yourself having issues with this, then I've got a link to a video below that'll walk you through some of the troubleshooting steps I've gone through to make sure that I've got accurate results. But once you have everything set up and you start using the FS Golf app, you start using it, the Mevo Plus is fantastic. It was fantastic before, but with all the new updates they've rolled out within the app, with the increased accuracy of the new device, the increased battery life, this thing is awesome. So part of the reason I love this so much is because you get a professional feeling package. It feels like you are using a much more expensive launch monitor than you are. It gives you every piece of data you could ever want, but it's also doing all of this in a very user-friendly package. So for instance, the Foresight app that the GC3 and the Bushnell Launch Pro uses, there's a lot of features in there and it feels professional, but it's really challenging to use, and I have struggled with it. It's not real enjoyable to use. Whereas the Flightscope app, I just really like using. So in the latest update, you're gonna find there's 6 tabs when you open up the device. There's a full swing session, there's a swing training session, there's a chipping session, a putting session, a challenges session, and a review session. So let's real quickly go over what those are so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into when you start using this device. So when you jump into a full swing session, you can choose any club, and then basically you hit your shot and almost instantly you're gonna watch that shot tracker go out into the range and then give you all the details about your shot. And it's amazing to see, oh, yep, there's that slight fade, or in my case, often a strong slice. That's exactly what the ball does, and I'm watching it happen exactly as it goes on the screen. You can then view all of this information in pretty much whatever form you want to digest it. If you want to see a big list of all of your different metrics, you can do that. If you only want to see one or two big metrics, you can do that. If you want to see every driver, for instance, or every 7-iron you've hit in a particular session and a shot tracer version of that, you can see it. If you want to see a top-down view of your groupings and your dispersion for each club, you can do it. Do you want to see a video of your swing with all the data as well? Once again, you can do it. It's so easy to adjust the view and how you digest the data based on what you are working on and the way you like to see it. So most of what you're going to do is going to be in that full swing session, and that's where you're really going to be able to dial everything in, dial in your distances, and truly get a solid practice session. From there, you can go to a swing training session, and this is specifically focusing on swing speed. So if you have the Pro package, you'll also have a V-plane and an H-plane statistic, but if you were just having the basic Mevo Plus, you're pretty much just going to have swing speed. So this allows you to practice your swing speed without a ball. So say you've got like a super speed swing training system, this is going to allow you to really like grind it and work on getting that speed up. I found the accuracy to be a little more variable than I would have liked when using mid irons. With my driver, it seemed to be a little bit more consistent. So personally, if this was a big reason you were going to buy the Mevo Plus, I might look at getting like a blast motion or a DeWiz golf, a different type of wearable that's going to be more specifically designed for this type of work. But it's also really nice that it is included, and it's something that if you're using it occasionally, it can definitely be a valuable addition. I found the chipping session to be one of my favorite ways to use it because since I don't have room at my house for a full simulator, I can't take a full swing, it does allow me to hit chips into a net and really dial in some of those distances. I found it to be extremely accurate. It changes the view. Instead of having the full driving range like the full swing session does, it's going to give you more of a condensed view. So when you're hitting chips, it allows you to more accurately see what those grouping looks like in a much smaller area. I found using this part of the app to work really well. It seems really accurate, and it's a great way to practice your short game. The putting section is fine. It'll give you the data for the total length of your putt, the ball direction, and your launch speed. The problem I found with this is it really depends on what type of surface you're doing it on. So within the app, you can set the stimp speed. So you can say, these putts are rolling at a 9, but if you're doing it on carpet at home and it's actually rolling at a 6, then the distance it says it is versus the distance you're watching a putt happen, it's going to be different. And I've never quite been able to get over that. So I love the fact they've got the putting because that allows you to have more of the full sim experience, and it works fine with that because most of us aren't taking our sim putting too seriously, but it's not necessarily a tool that I would recommend using for detailed and focused putting practice. Challenges is another new addition, which is nice to have built in. There's also the Flightscope Skills app, which is a separate app, which is all of those kind of driving range games that you can use to dial in your wedges, to make things a little bit more fun, make things a little more interesting. And so the Challenges tab just builds in a couple of those directly within the FS Golf app. There's 3 of them right now, a PGA, LPGA challenge where you're basically comparing your statistics to that of a pro, a range competition where it will give you a set distance and you're trying to get it within that distance, and so you get more points the closer you are, and then a long drive challenge, which is pretty much exactly like it sounds. Personally, I've by far found the range challenge to be the most fun, the most useful, and it's also a lot of fun to play with friends. So you can set it up so you've got multiple people, so you can really actually turn it into a pretty fun game within the app. Although overall, I feel like the Skills app is going to give you a little bit more of a well-rounded experience and more options for these types of things if you're the type of person that likes these games and challenges. And finally, there's the review session where you can go back and review every single shot you've ever hit. If you've got videos, if you've got sessions, if you're trying to figure out your averages, if you're really trying to dial things in and fix things, this is where you're going to go to analyze all of the data you got from those other sessions. It works really well. Like I said, the app is easy to navigate and I found it super intuitive to use. Like any golf tech app, it's probably going to have a little bit of a learning curve, but for me, despite it having so much information, I found it pretty easy to use right from the jump. All right, so let's talk about using the Mevo Plus with a simulator. That's one of the great things about this tool is that it's compatible with so many different systems. So you can use it with E6, you can use it with the Golf Club 2019, you can use it with Creative Golf, you can use it with GS Pro. Regardless of which system you want to use, there's a good chance you are going to be able to use it. E6 is going to be the one most people are going to use because, well, it comes with 10 courses for free. E6 can be a little cumbersome for all the same reasons we talked about earlier, kind of doing that Wi-Fi dance, but once you get locked in, it works really well, and having the additional courses is awesome. The one downside is the Garmin R10 comes with Bandon Dunes, and the Mevo Plus does not. So the Mevo Plus has more courses, but I would have loved to see Bandon come with Mevo Plus because, let's be honest, playing Bandon on a simulator in the middle of January, that would be pretty cool. Overall, E6 works really well, especially for something that's included for free. Some of you are going to figure out ways to connect your iPad to a TV or even to a projector that's really going to give you that full experience, but it's fast, it's accurate, the graphics are good, and if you really dig into it, then there's a lot of upgrades you can make to get more courses. And so the fact that they include that without a subscription for the basic package for the cost of the Mevo Plus in and of itself, I think is really cool. Real quick, just want to interject, if you are thinking about buying the Mevo Plus, you can use our coupon code that is linked below for 5 to 10% off, depending on what sales Flightscope is running. You can probably guess if you use that code, if you click one of my links, I will get a small commission at no extra charge to you, but that's how I support being able to do testing and do videos like this. So if you're not cool with that, no problem, don't use the code, go check out someone else's review, but if you do decide to buy it, it helps me out a lot. If you use the code, if you click the link, there, everybody wins. So with all of that said, there's going to be a lot of people that are wondering, okay, well, this is great. The regular package seems great, but what's this Pro package? What's the face impact detection? And do I really need to spend upwards of $1,500 to get those things? And the answer is, for most people, probably not. So the Pro package gets you the full D Suite plane. So it's really going to allow you to see all of your club angles, and it allows you to zoom in, break down, see exactly what your club is doing in some really cool diagrams. So if you're someone that's really trying to perfect every part of your swing, you're really trying to make changes, if you're a club fitter or if you're a teaching professional, then for the extra $1,000, sometimes less, with our coupon code below, it really is a no-brainer. But if you're just an average person who just wants to set up a simulator in your garage, you want to dial in your distances a little bit more, you're just trying to make the range more fun, then the thing with the Pro package is it has so much information you can find yourself getting lost. And the nice thing about it is you can customize all of the views. So if you don't want to see all the information, you can set it up so you only see the data you want to see, both on the app or on an Apple Watch, which I will say, having the Apple Watch, this is one of the reasons I would choose Flightscope over other things. Because you compare it with your phone, you don't even have to look at it, you can just look at your watch, you can change what club you're using directly on the watch. It works really well. And so that's kind of a nice little side bonus that a lot of people don't necessarily consider when they're thinking about buying a launch monitor, but the Apple Watch usability is really well done, and it truly enhances my experience with the Mevo Plus. Okay, got a little sidetracked there with the Apple Watch, but when it comes to the Pro package and face impact detection, if the data it provides is something that you want, then it is definitely worthwhile. So I was really, really excited to test out the face impact detection. So this is a $500 add-on. Plus, you can only get it if you have the Pro package. So in order to get the face impact detection, you're spending $1,500 total, maybe less if there's a sale or you use our coupon code, but it's a lot of money. And so I was like, okay, well, this better work pretty well. So I got some stickers, I put them on my clubs, I hit a shot, and this was the result. I was so impressed with how accurate the face impact detection was on the Mevo Plus. Like, it was kind of scary how good it was. This was certainly true with my irons. With my driver, the larger surface area, I found it to be oftentimes maybe just slightly off, but still very much in the ballpark, very usable data, but not quite as precise as it was on the irons. But overall, I was really impressed with how well it worked. And so if that's a feature and that's technology that you're looking for, then that's definitely worth an extra $500 if you already have the Pro package. So there's gonna be a lot of people that are going to be annoyed that the Pro package, that the face impact detection, that it doesn't come with those right out of the gate. But honestly, I'm okay with it, and here's why. most of the newer launch monitors we're seeing come out right now have some sort of subscription fee. So to not have that subscription fee is really nice. You know, you can pay for it once, you're gonna be able to use it forever, and that's awesome. A lot of people also don't necessarily need that technology, so they don't necessarily want to pay a premium for it. So you might say, okay, maybe the Flightscope Mevo Plus is $3,500 with both of those included. If that was the only option, there's a lot of people that would just be pushed out. They're not going to spend $3,500 on a launch monitor. But if you take those away and you get the Mevo Plus to under $2,000, all of a sudden it's more accessible, you can buy it, you can start using it, and if you find that you really need the extra data that the Pro package Face Impact gives, then you can go buy it after the fact. So you're not locked into it. It gives you a lot of options for figuring out what you truly use, what you truly need, and it allows you to upgrade if necessary, as opposed to just making the price $1,500 more expensive out of the gate. So the fact they're not locking you into a subscription and the fact they do this kind of a la carte to allow you to get in at a lower price and then add features as you find them necessary, I personally think that's the right way to do it. A lot of other companies are taking a different approach, but I think this is the right way, and I think generally speaking, most consumers should be happy about this. There's one other update that's worth mentioning, and that is fusion tracking. So way back in 2020 when the Mevo Plus was first announced, this wasn't a thing. There's a camera built into the Mevo Plus that was really supposed to be solely for alignment reasons. Well, over the course of like the next year, they unlocked a feature where you can use that camera for video. So you can set it up behind you and you can use that to record your swings in addition to using your phone, your iPad, setting up multiple cameras, which is a really nice feature. But they've also taken it a step further. So they have fusion tracking technology, which originated in their top-of-the-line 5-figure X3 device. So what that means is essentially you're taking the Doppler radar device, which is what the Flightscope primarily uses, and you're combining it with the camera to have a fusion of technology to give you more accurate results. And them doing this has led to, in my experience, more accurate results. With the previous Mevo Plus before the fusion tracking, it was still very solid, but I had a little bit more variables in my numbers. Now, assuming it's set up properly, everything feels rock solid 98% of the time, and that's just super valuable to know that I can trust the data that I'm getting out of that. It's also really cool that they've rolled that out as a free feature for existing users. If you're an X3 owner, then you might not be super stoked about it, but for the masses that are using the cheaper device, it's a pretty cool feature. I also know that with the release of the 2023 model, there were some issues relating to using fusion tracking in low light. There were a number of complaints about it. There's been a big firmware update over the course of the last few weeks that I believe has corrected all of that. But I will say in my testing, I did not have any issues. I always had proper lighting. I always got proper numbers, and the fusion tracking seemed to work great. So, final thoughts on the Mevo Plus. I personally believe at this point, it is the best value in golf. Yes, there are cheaper devices, specifically the Garmin R10 and the new Rapsodo MLM Pro 2. Both of those are awesome, especially the new Rapsodo. They've taken a ton of tech, packed it into a nice compact package, and put a really good price tag of $699 on it. But using it, it still is a consumer level launch monitor. And for some people, that's going to be great. It can be easier to use, less daunting than something like Flightscope, where, like I said, it can feel very professional, even though I found it to be intuitive. All of that data can be a little bit overwhelming. But you're getting so many statistics, you're getting so many features that are really only available in products into that 5-figure category. Flightscope's the only one that's providing the level of features they do at that price point. The Bushnell Launch Pro is also an excellent device that's even more accurate, but it's not quite as intuitive to use if you're using the app. They have a subscription fee, and it doesn't provide all of the same data that the Flightscope does. So for all those reasons, despite there being cheaper options out there, I really do think the Mevo Plus represents the best value, the best bang for your buck for what you're getting. With all the launch monitors I've got, this continues to be the one I use the most for my own practice, but granted, like I said, it's not perfect. I still kind of struggle with the level of detail you have to have before each session to make sure it is set up properly. And sometimes I'll find, something was off and I got some numbers that didn't quite seem right, and you have to go back and adjust, and that can be a little bit frustrating at times. But the more I use it, the better I get at setting it up properly, and that little inconvenience is worth so much when it comes to everything you get with the Flightscope platform. So the 2023 update is very welcome. I love the fact that the battery life is so much better. I love the fact it includes the PC program. The stand is, it's a nice update. I like the extra E6 courses. So is it night and day different? No, the device itself is not night and day different from the previous Mevo Plus, but what you're going to find is all of the updates and all of the extra features they continue to roll out in the app, both for all users as well as in the form of add-ons, continue to show that Flightscope is super dedicated to this platform and to making the absolute best device they can in that kind of prosumer category. So I still love the Mevo Plus. I think that if you buy it, if you invest in it, it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy as well. And if you have one, I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment, let me know what your experience has been like. So with that, my name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here, Breaking 80, where we do cool golf product reviews and golf course reviews. If you're still not sure if the Mevo Plus is the right launch monitor for you, go take my 30-second quiz. I will link to it below. I spent like 2 days putting this thing together to truly make the most useful resource I could to help you find the right launch monitor for your needs. So you might find it's going to validate the choice and that the Mevo Plus is the one you should get, or it might introduce you to something else you may not have been considering. So I highly recommend you go check that out. And if you got value out of this video, thumbs up, subscribe, do all of the things. With so many new launch monitors and so many new updates coming out, I'm going to have a lot more content relating to this product as well as others. So I will link to those below as I get them updated as well. And if you have any questions about the Mevo Plus or any of its competitors, feel free to drop a comment. I'll do my very best to answer every single one. I hope you have an excellent day, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.